This is Tim Rogers, Dodgers 2080. And today we begin our new segments that we're going to be doing this offseason, covering first all the position players as much as possible. We'll do it by position. We will also do it, when we do it by position, by player's last name in alphabetical order. I'm not going to play any favorites. The scope of this will be, we're going to go everyone who is still a prospect, including from 2023, that's on any of the United States rosters and maybe dabbling a little bit in the DSL. We just don't have a lot of coverage of DSL and barely even any of the ACL. So that's what we're going to do, and that's how we're going to cover things. Okay? All right, our first catcher we're going to cover is a young man named Carlos Avila. He is from Venezuela. You will find that that is a common theme with our players. Carlos has been around. He's only 19, okay? And he was signed back in 2021. That was the same draft with Wilman Diaz and Jesus Galiz, who we will be covering later today, Jesus at least. So born in 2003. He's a guy I have not had eyes on. I just want to get you at least a little familiar with him. His 2023 stats, he didn't do much. He's just been up and down Batista and all that type of stuff. So that is our first guy, and that's Carlos Avila. Just be aware of him. We'll keep an eye on him. I expect him to be full-time at the ACL next year. Maybe we see him at Rancho by the end of the season of 2024. Can you believe it already? All right, our next guy, Diego Cartaya. I know there's a lot of consternation about him. He had a rough season, didn't he? We can see it. Batted 189. Straight up. OPS 657. Still had 19 home runs. Definitely not the season he wanted. He came into the season really, let's be honest, he was with the MLB pipeline had him as the number 8 prospect. So that was a disappointing season for him. I think it's just a matter of, going through everything that happened. I mean, he was relatively healthy this last year for the first time. He did play easily in the most games he's ever played. But a very disappointing season for Diego. In fact, he's actually been passed over even in the catchers, but as an overall prospect with the Dodgers. And we'll cover that player today also. I do have a clip that I'm going to show you from Doug McKain from Dodgers Nation. This is used with permission from Dodgers Nation, specifically Doug. And it just addresses, his expectations coming into 2023. It's just kind of interesting to see. You can see where you think he may have maybe reached some of his goals, or maybe he didn't. Obviously, a disappointing season. But here's Doug.
Talk a little bit about this 2023 season that you have this year and kind of the improvements that you're focusing on. When you talk about defensively as a catcher, is there anything that you're focusing more on this season that the coaches have been kind of working on?
Yeah, my blocking. I want to get better at it and definitely keep working with the pitchers, know how to use true media and game planning and all the stuff. It's a lot of info. You have to know how to use it. And I would say that, and the defense basically blocking and framing.
Yeah, and what's the biggest challenge going from low A to high A and just kind of going up through the ranks as a catcher defensively? What has been the biggest challenge?
I think it's easier. I don't know why, because I feel like guys in high A, they throw hard, but they throw everything closer to the strike zone. You know what I mean? When you play in lower levels, pitchers are more wild. So I just think it gets easier in that side, but calling games and all that gets a little bit harder.
Oh,
because you got more guys in the lineup that can do damage.
I'll wait till you see Kershaw's command one day. You're gonna love it.
Oh,
but you talk about so making those improvements behind the plate, and how about offensively? We know you have that prodigious power, that swing. You hit the ball hard, you lift the ball. What are you focusing on at the plate this season?
I want to have quality at bats. I want to strike out less. Just put the ball in play, I don't have numbers in mind. I just want to go there and have a good at bat every time I go to the plate.
Yeah, and then just kind of circling back to what you were talking about, catching different pitchers, watch some minor league games, and sometimes you've heard about, it's pretty much well documented that sometimes the Dodgers, of course, they want to win these games, but also they want to develop these pitchers. And sometimes you talk about the repertoire and the pitches they're throwing. Sometimes you want the pitchers to be working on that slider. Is that a little bit of a challenge, knowing that, hey, maybe this is not the pitch they'd be throwing in this count, in this situation, because we're trying to develop those secondary pitches?
Yeah. That's a great point. It actually happens a lot. Like, you know, that it's not the right pitch, but like for his development or what the team wants, like you have to call it. But I think like everybody's so good that even when it's not the right pitch, you can get away with it.
Yeah, exactly, right. I mean, they have filthy stuff, right? They can get out and get swing and miss with any pitch. But, I was asking you, too, about some other positions, because we know you're a catcher, you're an elite catching prospect, but we saw you getting some work in at first base. Do you anticipate getting any more work in at first base this season?
Well, like I said, I used to play third, and I don't mind playing all their position. I want to be in the lineup, and that's all that matters for me.
All right, again, thanks to Dodger Nation and Doug McKain for that video. That was recorded, it was right around FanFest, so January-ish, maybe February. So that's what's going on with Diego, or what was going on. It'll be interesting to see. We'll see him in spring training again. He's on the 40-man roster. I expect him to make some more progress, probably start the year in Double-A again, and get moving again. I really believe in him. I believe in his maturity. I believe in his skill set. And I believe in his desire to get better. So I expect a lot from Diego in 2024. All right, the next guy we're going to cover is one of my personal favorites, Wladimir Chalo. Vlad is a guy that he's been around a bit now. I met him beginning of 2021, literally had dinner with him. Him and Vivas, along with my good friend Romero Cuadrado. Can't even spell to say Cuadrado anymore. Oh my! But Wladimir actually got a little bit of playing time this year. It's been kind of weird for him. They could be grooming him for who knows what. Maybe to be a coach eventually. I'm not sure, but I sure like watching him play defense. He controls the game. He's a mentor to a lot of these players, so I hope he continue to at least they give him a little more of a chance. So it's kind of rough for him. And by the way, I do have the reason that you don't see all the statistics is because I have JavaScript turned off on these things. These pages are pigs. MILB is just it's some of the worst pages I've ever seen in my life. So we're just going to cover some of the 2023 stats that are there. We're not going to do the breakdowns of teams yet, and that's not really what's important. What's important is we get familiar with these names. There's more digging we can do on individual players, but I just want to make sure that we cover each and every one of them. All right, so this is one of the guys that I dropped into with the Dominican Summer League. Yeah, you just got to look at the numbers. So Angel Diaz, or Angel, probably more like it, signed September 30th, 2021, out of, where else, Venezuela. The first four catchers that we've talked about are from Venezuela. So the Dodgers and the Venezuelan catchers have a nice pipeline. There is also the little Louisville connection they have featuring Will Smith and Dalton Rushing. But you can see why I had to include him in 133 at-bats, 7 dongs. Batted .353 with a .457 on-base percentage, OPS of over 1,000. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing this young man. He will turn 20 in 2024, and we will see him in the ACL for sure. So just be very aware of players like that. These are the guys that we want to try to highlight a bit as we try to get a sniff of them and go, oh, is this somebody that we should be watching for? So hopefully I can meet him in spring training, but we'll see. Kind of excited about him. Really couldn't find much information about him either. So that's kind of interesting. Definitely an under the radar guy, but we're on him. We're going to be tracking him. Looking forward to watching this young man as he moves forward in his Dodgers career as probably a future hot prospect is my guess. So our first non-Venezuelan, Hunter Feduccia, who, despite the loss that Oklahoma City had in the finals against Norfolk, he did hit a home run. And I thought he had a really nice season. He spent it all. He spent it all with Oklahoma City. A lot of us were calling for him to be called up for a little bit, like when Will Smith had some injuries and stuff, but never happened. So it didn't happen. Drafted in 2018 in the 12th round from Louisiana State. He had a nice year though. He hit 11 home runs, hit 279, 387 on base percentage, and was at a 838 OPS. So that is some good work from him. He's just a guy that, gosh darn it. I expect him to get another invite, but he's a guy that I'm wondering if he's going to get drafted in the Rule 5 or if the Dodgers will protect him. Maybe they will. That'd be nice to see. But no matter what, I do expect him to see Major League time in 2024, either with the Dodgers or with another team. So our next guy is Yeiner Fernandez. Yeiner is another guy from Venezuela, and he's been a real versatile type guy. He plays second base. He was a star Little League pitcher in 2020 when he was 12 years old back in 2015 or something like that. And now, he's 21 years old now, just turned 21. And, nice season at Great Lakes. Just pretty consistent down to 273. He was pretty hot during this, had a nice 300 going for a while. But I think, the versatility is going to bring something. Just, the way he handles himself. Really quality human being, and definitely one of everyone's all-time favorite guys of fans. And so, a couple times on the injured list. It's a lot of these guys have that. And, he's a guy I'm just concerned that I don't want to get lost in the shuffle with, this year, Lockwood-Powell, Rushing, and Yeiner. So next year, Tulsa, all those guys are going to need to move up. And still got Diego, might be there for a little bit too. So we'll see about Yeiner. And hopefully they can, find a good spot for him to get at-bats. Get him some at-bats to second base. Doesn't bother me. Bring that versatility. Wow, Jesus Galiz. There's a lot to be said about this guy. First and foremost, I saw him, at the beginning of the year, and he did struggle. That struggle bus was real. But he kept grinding, and he had such a nice year. I'm going to try and talk to him this offseason. He's a real friendly guy. His English is strong. And another Venezuelan. So we're back to the Venezuelans. He's only, I forgot, he's only 19 years old and playing low A. He could start the season maybe next year at Rancho at the beginning and then move up, or he goes up. I just think he made such good progress. I would think if it's me, I'm promoting him up. I'm just promoting everyone up a level next year in the catchers, except maybe Diego to start up in Double A. Jesus, really good defensive catcher. Saw him throw out some guys. Just some good at bats and better. Like I said, getting better and better. He improved. All these career numbers here are just improvements because of this year. He had some much lower numbers from before. But yeah, the eight home runs, it's good. The on-base percentage, he just needs to get a few more walks. But he's a really good player, solid human, and I expect a lot out of the soon-to-be 20-year-old Jesus Galiz. He was one of their top 2 international prospects in 2021. I told y'all about this guy at the beginning of the season, and even on Dodgers Prospects Report. I told y'all about this guy. All right? Thayron Liranzo, number 8. He's from the DR, but 24 home runs. All right? I told you that I saw him in spring training, and the thump was there. Switching catcher, better from the left side. He admits that. We do have an interview with him. I will put that in the description. That and it was all in Spanish. He is a very cool dude, unique guy, very happy. Also likes to cook. But what he really cooks is at the plate, batting .272, the 400 on base percentage, .962 OPS. Told you, this is the guy. This guy is really interesting. Watch him. He turned 20 in July, so next year he still plays more than half the season at the age of 20. Could do, I do expect him to go to high A, Great Lakes next year. Maybe not at the beginning, but who knows? But defensively, keeps improving. He also plays a lot of first base. And you play first base a lot because of the 24 home runs in 345 at-bats. That is quite a rate. So this is a young man. He's always got a smile on his face, but he also works hard. If you're a catcher, you're working hard. And really good guy to be around. And I just expect he's going to be fun to watch. Very excited about him. We were definitely one of the first ones on this young man. So keep your eye on Thayron Liranzo. Griffen Lockwood-Powell, GLP. First baseman also, but a lot of catching time. Another guy with just some thump. 323 at-bats, 13 home runs. In his career in the minor leagues, 21 home runs and 438 at-bats. That's definitely what we're talking about. He also gets his walks. You can see that by his on-base percentage, despite being at .238 with the batting average. So he's getting on base at a nice clip for a power hitter. He was an undrafted free agent 2021. They signed him, August 11th, 2021. What do you know? He's one of those guys, another guy that was signed during that time was Austin Gauthier, who we will talk about when we probably cover. I'm going to cover him, I think, still as a shortstop. We'll see. I'll look at his stats and everything and figure out where he's going to be. But Griffen Lockwood-Powell, a lot of power, played the full season at Great Lakes. And nice season. Split some time with Dalton Rushing and Yeiner Fernandez. So they were loaded at Great Lakes at catcher. That's just insane how much talent they had, which kind of blocked guys like Liranzo, Galiz, and Puerta, and a few other catchers that we'll be talking about. So GLP is on his way to Tulsa next season. All right, I'm going to butcher this. This is a young man from Uganda, 22 years old. They brought him up to Tulsa from ACL. It's kind of interesting. He's just getting started. He was signed January 28, 2022. So he's only been playing organized ball for, this is his second year. And he's been in, we can see he was in the Dominican Summer League. But this is Umar Male. That's a guess. I have not met him, haven't heard it yet, but wanted to introduce you to him. We'll see as he goes in the future. They don't even have a picture of him, and I don't have any pictures of him. But that's just someone to know who's out there. He's a catcher, and we'll see where he's going to be ending up. Not sure what they're going to do with him. I expect probably to see some time in the ACL again. A little bit of that, but it's nice to see. There's another guy. Yeah, they had a picture from Uganda. Can't remember the name of the top of his head. I'm sure we'll cover him. I met him briefly, but old man memory kind of sucks, but that's what I am. That's what you get. And you get what you pay for, right? It's a free show. So, yeah, with Umar Male. We'll see more about him later. Hopefully I'll meet him in spring training. That'd be cool. Hamlet Marte. Hamlet has been around. One thing he hasn't been able to do is break through in the major leagues. Hamlet's, he actually spent a lot of time doing bullpen work with the Dodgers, being a bullpen catcher while he wasn't active. This is a true leader right here. It's good to have guys like this. He's like like Marco Hernandez was, Wladimir Chalo. You got to have those guys. Those are coaches in the future if it doesn't work out. So with Hamlet, that's the guy. He was on the 2018 championship team with Rancho. And I just, I had to include him. He did play, a bit in Double-A. You can see he kind of went all around. But a lot of that was just, he was at Dodger Stadium. So, when he was on the development list, he was at Dodger Stadium, working out with coaching staff and things like that. So we'll see where he goes. Don't be surprised to see him being a coach in the Dodger organization at some point when he does decide to retire as a player. And that's kind of cool. He's just one of those guys, that I have a lot of respect for. So that's Hamlet Marte. Definitely a future coach in the Dodgers organization. All right. One of the Rancho guys, Jorge Puerta, actually played a lot of the season at Rancho and when was he promoted? He was promoted in August, early August 10th. And so good for him. Played some outfield, played first base, and played some catcher. They had just a lot of catchers, a lot of good catchers too. So there's a battle for playing time. I think there's more power there than 2 home runs. But there's adjustments to be made. He's only 21 also. He's from Colombia. I like what I saw of him in 2022. I like to see him in person. I think, and he's a real friendly guy. Speaks English really well, and definitely one of those catchers that the Dodgers will be counting on possibly in the future. But he's just shows how deep this system is to have so many catchers that really are worthy of playing time. And Jorge is definitely one of those guys. We're going to go to one of the hardest luck guys, 2022 and 2023. You can see here, a little picture here. Smacked 3 home runs in a game. Ended up going to Rancho for a bit. Did well briefly, but he was hitting in the 300s, and he hurt his wrist. And he never came back. Tried to come back this year, barely played, only had 8 at-bats. And that was in, I believe, the ACL. And it's just, man, hard luck for this guy. Switch hitting catcher, 21 years old. And he can hit. He'll be 22 in a couple months. Early November, so that's a little more than a month away. What a hard luck season for this guy. I expected him to catch a lot at Rancho this year, but the injury, it got him. So all the best to Nelson Quiroz. It is rough for me to say his name. He's a good dude. I met him briefly in 2022, and just hoping the best for this guy. So that's Nelson Quiroz from Mexico, and hopefully just all the best in terms of health for him this season. So one of the beneficiaries of Puerto moving up to Great Lakes was Simon Reid, getting a chance to get some playing time. Lefty swinger out of Westmont College. It's up there in Santa Barbara. Beautiful area up there. He, I like the way he approaches the game. At the plate, he's spraying the ball. He's got that Freddie Freeman vibe where he's just trying to get, put the ball in play. I saw him hit an inordinate amount of doubles. And for a while he was really hot and was hitting a lot of doubles and just spraying the ball all over the place. And you see that in batting practice with him, where he's out there working on things, not just pulling the ball. It's good for him to get some ABs at Rancho. I think he proved himself. Probably starts the season at Rancho again, but he will be one of the guys he might come in as a starting catcher this year for Rancho in 2024. Can you believe that? Man, we still got to even start the playoffs with Parent Club, huh? So, Simon Reid, he had a lot of DH. I didn't get to see him catch a lot. I was kind of bummed about that, but it was just good to see him get some at-bats. All right, Victor Rodrigues, and that's with an S, not a Z. Venezuela, 19 years old. In fact, he just turned 19. Good Lord, he's a young one. He is a young one, signed in 2022. So he was in that international class. I liked his numbers, like what I see here. Right-handed hitting catcher. I don't need to say I don't think what hand they throw with. I mean, as a lefty, I wish I could say there's a lefty catcher, but baseball it needs to be played the opposite way for us lefties. But okay, so you can see he's put up some decent numbers. I like the on-base percentage, 142 at-bats, and this is a kid that's playing as an 18-year-old. Played most of it in ACL. Started the season with Batista, but it looks like he played most of the season in Arizona. So maybe this is a kid we see at Rancho. Pushing him and Angel Diaz so far have been two of the guys that I have not really been familiar with, but do impress me. So we'll see about Victor Rodrigues with an S. All right, Frank Rodrigues. Met him in spring training. He's actually 22. He turned 22 just the other day. It was a weird season with him in his transactions. So he was at Rancho just for a little bit, went back to the ACL, and then went to the Loons. And I think he didn't even play a ton of catcher up there. And the struggle is real. Probably playing a little bit higher than he's would be expected. He's when was he signed? He was signed 2019, so he's been around a bit. It's time, I think next year is going to be a big year for him. See where his spot is. Really, I met him briefly in spring training. Good guy. I didn't get a lot out of seeing him. I know that there might be some other video out there of him, but just got to see, the productivity just got to come around. Sometimes it takes a while, and when you kind of jerked around like he was, it might be a little rough. It's kind of a strange time for him, just a strange flow for him, the way it went in 2023. So maybe 22, a little bit of normalcy. I'd like to see him start the year at Rancho, see what he can do, get him nice and comfortable, and see what he can do at Rancho. Carlos Rojas, another Venezuelan, of course. He was actually a 2022 All-Star in the Dominican Summer League, which is cool. The power's not developed quite yet. On base percentage is looking good though, 406. But with a lot of these catchers, it's not just about the offense, but it looks like the offense has been there a bit, and the on base percentage is pretty consistent. Just more power needs to come. I like to have catchers. Give me 10. Give me 10 home runs in a 10 to 15. It's nice. It's a blessing to have someone like Will Smith that can pop you. What's he at 19 right now? It's nice to see that. Carlos Rojas, Venezuela. I really do expect to see him at Rancho in 2024, and should be to start the season. At his age, definitely, because he turns 22 in 2024. All right, the new MLB pipeline, Dodgers #1 prospect, Dalton Rushing. Dalton is a guy that, some of us saw at Rancho. He just destroyed the pitching at low A. Went up to Great Lakes at the very end of the season for the playoffs. This season, just a weird season. I seem to see a lot of highlights of him doing really well. But the 228, part of that, to be honest, the dude had a concussion, and the concussion lingered a bit. But where we say in 290 at-bats, we see 15 home runs. We see a 404 on-base percentage, 856 OPS. We see a guy who, I was watching an interview with him and Doug McKain, and he talked about how he likes to approach his hitting style, where it's a little bit different. Fastballs, he's looking opposite. Breaking balls, he's looking to pull it. Now, of course, he ends up pulling more, but he's got the mindset. He's got a good mindset. And then, there's always been some questions about his defense. And really, it's because he didn't get a chance to catch that much in college. I mean, he had Henry Davis in front of him, and then only caught half the season in 2022, for half the games during the season while playing first base, because they had another catcher there too. So he's been dealing with that. But as you can see, I've got an interview where he answers some questions from Doug McKain about what he wants to work with in 2024. Go ahead and take a look.
As far as the offseason goes, is there one thing in particular that you want to focus on, or just kind of want to get better at every single facet of your game?
Yeah, every side of baseball I want to get better at. That's the goal each and every offseason. But this offseason for sure is going to be a big one defensively. I've kind of told myself, hey, when I step in the box, you can bring a big league presence. Guys can watch you and be like, okay, it's a big league hitter. I want to feel that way on the flip side of things. I go behind the plate, guys understand, I know what's going on. I'm controlling each and every aspect of the game, whether it's the running game, my pitcher that's 60 feet in front of me, or defensive positioning. That's 7 guys. Whatever the aspect may be, I think that's a big goal for myself moving into the offseason, being able to control each and every point of that leading into spring training.
Again, thank you to Dodgers Nation, Doug McKain. I will have the link, of course, in the description for the full interview. It's an awesome interview. Doug is so darn good at this. It makes me not want to interview guys. He just has a way of doing it. He's just good. And it's a great interview, great overall interview with Dalton. I can tell you this. First time we actually really spoke with Dalton, I walked into the dugout during spring training, and it was my first day. And I started to see this guy, clean cut, nothing on his face, no nothing. Kind of like the picture you see here from 20, and it was Dalton. I didn't even recognize him. I introduced myself. Tim Rogers, he goes, "Oh, I'm Dalton Rushing." He'd cut his hair, got all cleaned up. But he was the guy that introduced me, who told me about Jake Pilarski, and so was given inside scoop. And then just him, I overheard him talking to coaches, just gory details about what's going on in that game. He is truly a student of the game, and he has the catcher's mentality. That's a guy that you just have to, you just got to know that he's going to be a leader in the future. He's a team captain type guy, and he really prides himself in trying to learn about running the game. Again, you saw his answers from Doug about wanting to take, really be in control. And so I think we're in good shape, with Dalton. He is 22. He'll be 20. 2023 is a big year for, or 2024 is a big year for him. He'll be 23. He will be at Tulsa, I'm sure. It's just, let's just hope he's healthy. No more concussions for him, please. But yeah, as you can tell as we go through this list, we're just stacked. It's just overstacked at catcher. Kind of a forgotten man, Mr. Carson Taylor. Carson, was fourth round 2020. I guess he's given up switch hitting a bit. I mean, it just says left here, but I'm not so positive about that. I talked to him briefly about that in spring training. Just a lot of ups and downs with him on the roster, and not getting consistent at bats. 10 home runs, only 221, 310 on base percentage. There's just I think with this glut of catchers, it's an issue because they're not getting the at-bats. I know they try to go, well, let's put this guy at DH, let's put this guy at first. I mean, they're rotating these guys, but they're still not getting what they need because there's other position guys. The Dodgers are so loaded that some guys, I think, are just getting left behind. So, Carson Taylor on another team is in AAA and probably on the 40-man roster during the offseason. He's going to be Rule 5 eligible, and we will cover that also pretty soon. That's going to be hitting up in, I think we got to make the roster decisions in November. So we'll be getting a video together of the Rule 5 things. And Carson is eligible, and it's going to be really rough for him to get a spot on that roster. So, on the 40-man, but that's a guy that I could see him getting taken for sure. He's going to be 25 next year, man. Guy needs to move up. Guy needs to get consistent at bat. So someone trade for him. These guys there's just too many. There's too many really good catchers in this system. And Carson, I see, is a kind of a victim of that with all that. So we'll see what happens with him. I just hope for some of these guys. Just in some ways, I just hope they get moved for their own sake. So hopefully Carson can get some real at bats in 2024. All right, our last catcher, of course, he's Venezuelan, and I'm gonna butcher his last name. I'm gonna give it a shot though. Okay, Jefferson Valladares. 21. He has not been at Rancho yet even. He played the whole season in Arizona. So 2024 looks like Rancho is the next step. Solid season though. 66 at-bats, 3 home runs, 273, 419 on-base percentage. We're seeing a lot of good on-base percentages from these catchers. So they know how to take their walks. And then the OPS is 874. I like that. He is 21. You'll be 22 in May. Let's see when. He's been when did we get him? I'm trying to get to more transactions, but it could be because I turned off the JavaScript because it kills us. Jefferson is a guy. It looks like he was probably signed. I'm going to guess 2018, maybe 2019. No, it would have been 2018, I think. So he's been eligible. He just hasn't, he's eligible for the Rule 5, but he's had looks like some injuries, and getting started. It took him a while to get rolling, but good numbers though, huh? His overall numbers and his career actually pretty darn good. 899 OPS. I'll take that any day. But we just need to see it at higher levels. See Jefferson, hopefully, at Rancho. Like so many guys that they're loaded. All right, so that is our kind of a high-level overview of all the catchers that were in the system that are still rookies, still considered prospects. Not those. I didn't count the 4 quad A guys that have been around a bit, off and on in the major leagues. But I counted, 20 guys. A lot of them, obviously, from Venezuela. Great connection going on there. We're doing something. Dodgers doing something right over there. It's a great group of guys. With so many, there will be some of these guys that will be moving on for sure during this off season. There's a roster limit going down to way down to 165. I think it's 185 right now. Maybe it's 180. So at least 15 guys that are in the organization after we let go. Kind of gross to hear that, but it's true. I'm hoping, I'm hoping they can trade some guys off, and it's going to give some guys a chance to play. That's my biggest concern, is getting these guys enough at bats. Catcher's a hard position, I understand that, but they also need at bats in the major leagues, or not the major leagues. Of course they want those. They need them at the levels that they're at, and I'm concerned that some of these guys aren't getting it. And then we got the Rule 5 draft coming up. We'll be covering that pretty soon. We'll start putting that together, looking who's eligible. I know I mentioned maybe one or two that might be eligible for that. Like I said, I will be at the simulated game, and then we'll do a live sometime this week. We'll do another position. I'll throw a poll up. You guys vote and see what the next position is. I'm just going to put up the infielders. We'll go from there. I'm trying to figure out how to do the outfielders. I might just group them. I'll try to figure that out. I'll have to look at like their defensive things and see who's in center and who's left, who's in right. And then position wise, we got to look at guys like Don Cone, Gauthier, a few guys like that play all over the field, and go, where do we put them in their positions just to cover them. So we'll try to get their most common positions. So we've got a lot going on. We're going to be doing this hopefully once a week. However, you never know. We might get some luck and a miracle may happen. I'll get an NLDS pass if I apply. That way I wouldn't do one next week. And we do have the playoffs coming up. And we'll be doing maybe some live stuff. I don't want to compete with anybody on the post game, but we might just still go in there anyway and talk about it. When you come into our chat, it's a lot less people than Dodgers Nation. Dodgers Nation's flowing. Come into our chat, you're gonna definitely get a chance to get your question talked about, and it's not just me. And maybe we'll have some other people on for those chats, but we'll that way we can this group that follows this channel is really good at answering each other's questions, chatting about it in our live chat. So we'll do some of that coming up, and I really enjoy those. Been busy lately, got some things coming up, so looking forward to hearing your feedback on this, and we'll try to figure out how to improve. Your comments about what I did good, what I did bad, what you would like to see. I said, do you want to see more details? If there's some players that you want to see more detail on, let me know. And I know that there's other channels that have some other more gory details. I'm just trying to cover the high level, and then we can figure out and do a drill down. So that's kind of the way I work at work as a software engineer. That's kind of the way I do things. What's the lay of the land, and then we can go further. But we'll do the lay of the land of an infield position sometime next weekend. So thank you, everybody, and I appreciate your support, and I'm looking forward to your feedback and for going, watching the Dodgers go in the postseason. We got very excited times coming up. Looks like we got Kershaw going to be our game one. See how that goes. I preferred Miller, but it is what it is. As Doug McKain says, you got to slug for the dub. I think that's what he says. Or if you want the dub, you got to slug or something like that. That's what you got to do. And just got to put those pictures together. Very looking forward to seeing the rookie starters. Maybe piggybacking off each other or whatever it is. But they're all looking good. We're ready for them. I think Grove looked good tonight. Sheehan's look good. Obviously, Bobby Miller. We may even, Gavin, who knows? Maybe a little Gavin Stone. We'll see. But very excited about this. And, of course, Papio. Papio's been awesome. So thanks, everyone. We will talk to you later. Thank you, and have a great time, and go Dodgers.